It's really bizarre. It's unlike anything, probably any of us have ever seen before. It's a very strange tent, and I know a few people I've seen have said they're not quite sure who it's marketed to, because they're trying to do everything right and not really doing anything right, if that makes sense. So today we've got something new to try, and it's a new tent that we've got by Onewind. It's the Onewind Skyshade. It's unlike any tent I've ever seen before. It's got some really unusual features, and that's why I bought it. I'll share a link in the description to where I bought it from. I did buy it with my own money. I've had it out of the packaging once, and that was last week when I filmed the Onewind hammock video. We pitched it for a whole of about 5 minutes just to see what it was like. But it's got some really, really bizarre features. It's unlike any tent I've ever seen. The reason I bought it is because I want something that's a little bit more stealth to camping. Something that's a little bit smaller, doing all my 2-man tents. And I know I said I wasn't going to go back to a 1-man tent, but I couldn't resist when I saw this. It's a tent that seems to be bridging the gap between having a bivvy bag and having a small tent. It's set up very similar to a hoop bivvy, but with this tent, it's a lot taller and you can actually sit up in it. So that's the tent set up, the Onewind Solo Skyshade. I'll show you some of the features. As you can see with the tent, it's quite small, but it's quite, if I stand next to it, it's quite a lot taller than you'd get with a normal bivvy. So it is hip height. I think from what I've seen on the website, I will share it down below, but I'm sure it's 1.1 metres high. So it's quite a tall tent. It's as tall as you get in a lot of single pole tents. It's got some really innovative features, and it's also got some features I don't particularly like. Now I like the 3-pole design. It's got the single one at the back and these here. It's quite rigid there, but at the front, as you can see, there isn't much there. There is a reason with the front that it's like that, and that will all become apparent when I peg it out more in a minute and I'll show you some of the features. So let's start off with what's included in the pack. So obviously, you get the tent. It is technically a single skin tent, but once again I'll show you in a minute why. Also technically it's not. You get 8 pegs, which is 1 for each corner, and you get 1 for each set of guy ropes. Now this is one of the things I don't particularly like. So you do get guy with the tent, which is a nice touch because a lot of places don't give you that. But you only get 2. And to set this up in some of its other modes where you would need the guy ropes, really you need 4. I have got some other guy rope that I purchased myself and that I'm going to fit onto it for today. But it would have been a nice touch to give you 4. And even passing it on to consumer, it put a £5 on the price. And I think it was only about £125 this tent. So a £5 you're not going to notice. Some of the other features that I like, the material is I think it's a 20D ripstop. Once again, I'll share that below. Unfortunately, I haven't got any details with me. I did have them stored on my phone, but my phone's dead, so I've not got that. But I think it's a 20D. Like I said, I'll share it at the bottom. I also like these doors. So you've got proper full-length doors. And they actually go right round the front. And as you can see, this is why technically I wouldn't class it as single skin, because it does have the mesh inner on it. Now, both the inner and the outer can zip all the way around. What I'll do is I'll unzip it now and I'll show you that. Now, how it is now, as you've just seen me set it up, isn't an official way of setting the tent up, but is another option if you just wanted a bit of ventilation quickly. What I'll do now is I'll unzip it the opposite way and I'll show you how you can completely remove this out your way. So as you can see now, the fly is off. And what you can actually do, roll this up and you can chuck it out of the way over the back if you wanted. And that gives you all this ventilation and it essentially makes like a stargazer mode. Other ways of doing it, and this involves another feature that it doesn't supply, is you can utilise trekking poles. And what you do with the trekking poles is you stick them out the front, and then once they're out the front, it creates a load of space. What I will do is I'll set it up on the trekking poles now before I show you some of the other features. Anybody who's watched my videos before, I did a video a couple of weeks ago about these poles. They are the Jungle Kings. They were like £25 off AliExpress. And for the price, they're a fantastic little pole with some really, really good features. And they are adjustable right up to 130, as you can see. But yeah, they're a really good pole. Very, very compact, very, very easy to set up. Very, very lightweight. Now, for doing the bit on the front of this with these poles, you can have them set literally any height you want. You can also do it with sticks. You can have it from as small as the 30mm point on this, not that we'll be able to do that, to your 110 mark, which is there, even your 130. The height you have it all depends on how much shade you get. What I'll do is I'll put the guy lines on, then I'll show you me setting it up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Just want to show you these guy lines that I've got. So I've got a 100-foot roll of it from Amazon. I think it's about £10. I'll share a link to that as well. And I bought it because it's a really, really creative sort of guy line. So normally where you get your 7 or 8 strands of just your nylon inside it, this has actually got some extra line inside it. So it's a 7-line cord on the inside. It's got your 5 nylon. It's got one which is specifically made as a firelighter, which is a red cord on the inside. And on top of that, it's got another line, which is technically a fishing line. And the idea is that in a survival situation, this cord could save your life because you've got the ability to catch food and the ability to light a fire using it. And I think it's a really, really nice touch because the cables on the inside are just there for strength. So why not include something that's survival related? So what I'm doing for this is I'm going to set it up on the 130 to give you the extreme. I will then drop it down to 110 and show you how much lower it can be. With the guy ropes, because of how they fasten onto it, they do fasten onto the tabs, but if you have it down, the guy ropes will be over. What I've actually got is some S-beaners that I tend to use. I use them for tarps as well. So we'll be fastening S-beaners onto them. So for the sake of today, I've created a simple loop, and I'll just be putting that over the top of the trekking pole to use. Works exactly the same. You could do that yourself, but I like using the S-beaners because it just makes your guy ropes quick release. So if you ever need to put them anywhere else, it's very easy to just pop them on and then pop them somewhere else. And it's just a small S-beaner I use, and the reason to do that is because that will fail before the tent does, and you don't end up with a ripped tent then. So as you can see, with the guy ropes supplied, you'd have all this flap. So all I've done is I've added the additional ones in here. Like I said, I'm just going to use an S-beaner in future. The ones they have put on for some reason, I've made 400 foot long, so they're massive, but they'll still work for the purpose of today. So I'll get these pegged out and I'll show you what it'd look like. I have also noticed it's got these little loops here, but I'm not quite sure where you would put them unless if I put just a small guy on and you could peg it out down there. But for me, I'm not at an angle like that just to give you that bit more space. It'd also give you a bit of cooking room. So there she is, set up in 130 with the poles. As you can see, this is something I really like about this tent. So it's quite an enclosed tent. When you have it like this, you're still getting all that rain shade and you're getting shade from the sun, but because you're just in the open mesh, it gives you the option to have that feeling of being a bit more open and a bit more out. I don't know if I'd sleep with it in this size. I think I'd probably go down to about 110 just to give me that little bit more protection, but that all depends on the weather. So if it wasn't windy and if it was warm enough, then this would be ideal. Things like last week when we set it up, had we had it like this, it would have been absolutely perfect. So what I'll do now is I'll show you how to get inside the tent. So it's as simple as you undo this zip as far as you want. Like I said, you can unzip that all the way around if you wanted, but I'll just do it up to get this corner. Get in as with any other tent, and then you just zip yourself up. As you see, it's quite spacious. If I put my head up at the top, you should be able to see just how much room there is at the foot end. So my head's at the top there, and there's a good probably 1.5 foot. I'm 6 foot just touching, and there's plenty of room for an entire pack at the bottom or at the head end. As you can see, I'm fully set up. If I sit in the middle, I'll probably get about 4 inches above my head. So there's plenty of room to sit up in. With having these bits here open on the tarp, it gives you the option as well to have a bit of a cooking space that's just out of the weather. Alternate to that, I'll show you another feature here. You can completely remove the plug net out of the way. That just goes into the rear vent at the back like so, which leaves us completely open. Alternative to this, you can also put the tarp in there. So one thing I'm actually going to show is this rear vent, and this is one of the things that I don't like, because as you can see, the vent tucks down on the inside, which means any water ingress is going to sit here where your head goes, which isn't ideal. I should imagine that some of it will flow out back through the mesh, but I should imagine if it puddles, you're also going to get a bit of a wet head. I think if this flap was on the outside, it could have been solved, but all I will do is, if I'm ever bringing this out and it's going to be in wet conditions, I'll just bring a small tarp with me, just mounting over the back, and that'll solve that issue. The one plus to this is the sheer amount of ventilation you get. If you've got the front open like this, or if you've got it fully meshed and you've got that open, the amount of free air you're going to get will be unreal. You're definitely not going to get any condensation. So now I'll show you just how easy it is to get it down to 110, and it is as simple as just reducing the height of my trekking pole, keeping the tension, and then adjust the guide accordingly. So get that nice and taut. Same on the other side. Take it down just to 110. Keep the tension in my hand, and just tension up that guy line. You may need to adjust your pole slightly, as so, just to account for the angle. But as you can see, it's a lot lower there, which means if it's going to rain or anything, you're going to get a lot less splashback. I didn't have to adjust the two side ones, as you can see. They stayed taut. I think in wind, obviously you're not going to want to use it because it's probably going to blow it open. But if it did, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You just have to go and get it and zip it back up. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the trekking poles out and I'll show you another mode that this tent has. As I said, it's multi-feature. It's a really bizarre tent, but I actually love it. I think this year it's probably going to get a lot of usage out of it. I'd like to add, I have heard a lot of negative reviews about this tent online, and I get it. It's really bizarre. It's unlike anything probably any of us have ever seen before. It's a very strange tent, and I know a few people I've seen have said they're not quite sure who it's marketed to, because they're trying to do everything right and not really doing anything right, if that makes sense. It's too much, but for me, because I like the weird and the wonderful and the bizarre, I kind of like that. And like I said, I think I'm the type of person that it is marketed to. So for me, yes, it's got a lot of niggly features, and I think the one I'll show you in a minute, I don't know who's going to use that, but it's still something that you've got in your arsenal. But I just think, for the likes of me, I think it's a really, really good tent, because like I said, I need something smaller. I need something that can do things that are slightly more stealth. And I need something that's going to serve them purposes. Now, I have quite a big fear of enclosed spaces, so I can't get in a bivvy bag. I've tried it. I've been to go outdoors. I tried getting in even their hooped bivvies, and I have a massive panic attack and I have to get out. So I'm never going to sleep in that. If I can't get in it and close the door, my options are asleep in the open with my head out, getting soaked through, or alternatively, I find an alternative. Now, some of you may have seen my video about the Fox one. It very much divided opinion. Now, it's not a tent for me. I find it too small and too enclosed. And this is actually more enclosed than that. But because you can open up that front and you've got just the mesh, it doesn't feel like that. It's also slightly wider, which helps. You can actually get a wide pad in this, because I've tried it. And I think it does tick the box for people like that, because if you don't want to be enclosed, but you want the ability to camp, places like I am now, because at the moment I'm in an old abandoned golf course near where I live, and there is places to camp, but they're not easy places to camp. And like with a lot of the trees you can probably see around here, and I've filmed in this location a few times, it's not the stealthiest of locations. A lot of the trees are very open, and if you had a dark coloured tent like this, because nobody can argue that the colour is stealthy, if you had a low profile tent like this, which nobody can deny is low profile, and if you had a tent that meets these needs, then it works. And you need that stealthy tent. And like I said, I don't like enclosed spaces, and this helps with all that. Now, I am going to have to look at things like the sleeping bag situation, because it's bright red, my quilt, so, and the other one's blue, so that's kind of defeats the object of the colour of the tent. But there's ways around that. But I just think, for the likes of me, it really ticks the boxes. And It's a very unpopular opinion. So as you can see, I've got the entire upper out now, so it's completely open with just the bathtub in. So now you can use it like that, but there is a setting you can actually put it in now, which I'm going to do, which is the one that I don't understand. But I kind of, if you can do it, why not? That's what I sort of get with them. But for me, I'm definitely never going to use it like this, but I'll show you because it is a feature. So there we have it. It's essentially a sun shield like you get on a beach, but a very small one. Now, who's this for? If anybody ever sees this video from Onewind, please drop me a comment and explain it, because I'm sat fully back now, and if I'm trying to get out the sun, my arms are exposed, my legs are exposed, and I'm not being funny. The coverage on my head is minimal. It's probably not doing any more than my hat. So I don't get what this bit's for. It's not really hiding me from the rain or anything. I suppose it does a backwind maybe, but just set the tent up. It's probably easier. I don't get it. So that's the tent and all its features. The pros and cons, like I said, there's not a great deal I don't like about it. I don't particularly like that vent at the back, and I don't like that they only supply with 2 guy ropes. And on a plus note, and I'll hand it to Onewind, them guy ropes at the front are massive, just like the ones I created. And if you really needed to in a push, you could probably convert them into 4 guy ropes rather than the 2. So it's a niggle, and it's cost me £10 for 100 foot of guy rope, so it's not the biggest be all and end all in the world. I can still put a little tarp over the back, but for the purposes of what it does, the fact that it's compact, it's small, it's only about 1.5 kilos, I can hide it inside a forest and nobody's going to see it. It just ticks the boxes for me. But let me know, what's your opinion on this tent? I've taught you through it, I've shown you all the bits, I've shown you some of the good setups and some of the weirder setups. What do you think? What I'm going to do is, I'm going to close out this video for now, but I'll do a nice little time lapse for you of me putting it down, packing up, leaving no trace. But let me know, like I said, what do you think? And like I always say, if you've got anything from this video, please drop a comment, give me a like, and if you've really enjoyed it, consider subscribing.